up again for Benji, y'all. What did he say my name was? Kaiser Loeb. I'm Kaiser Lieb. Some of you may recognize me from the ballot where you voted for one of the other candidates. She laughed because it's true. I am from Montana, though. Anybody else? That's the thing I love about Helena, is that you are all telling the truth. I say that in Bozeman. One person's screaming, yeah, and everybody else is lying. We got this city in Montana that is called Great Falls. Anybody? There's 2 words in that name, and they're both lies. Like, sure, it's not very great, but it's also not very false. What they do have is a large, prominent butte, which the city that is named that does not. They should trade. Great Falls can be Butte, and Butte can be post-apocalyptic St. Patrick's Dayville. You think people from Butte ever look in the mirror and they're like, well, at least we're not Billings. It's like the way that a Target looks in the mirror and says, at least I'm not a Walmart. Walmart's like, yeah, but I'm not Kmart. Kmart says, but I'm not a laundromat. Laundromats are sketchy, man. There's always that handwritten note threatening you with violence if you leave your clothes there overnight. Right next to a poster for a concert that's coming up like next Tuesday in 1993. Every surface in a laundromat is designed to be wiped down, but they're still always sticky. It could be the world's nicest laundromat, and there's always that one folding plastic table. And I'm pretty sure that underneath that plastic table is a leprechaun who will stab you. The only thing that's sketchier than a laundromat is the laundry room in my house. The day that I moved in, I spilled a combination of orange juice, detergent, and cat litter back there. I don't even own a cat. Whatever fungal, bacterial, viral wonderment is fermenting makes the Chinese lab where they made the coronavirus look like a suburban kindergarten in Oklahoma. That is where I make underwear clean enough to touch my parts. Babies are stupid, huh? Babies are just tiny immigrants from the future. And sure, right now they're looking for a handout and free healthcare. But you know later on they're going to be stealing jobs from hardworking millennials. We should build a really tiny wall. I do everything that I can to avoid producing babies. I practice personality-based contraception. You guys are out here wasting money on various protections and pills, and I'm just this way. I am like the child of a Walmart t-shirt section in a MacBook Pro. My girlfriend, though, she is just a machine. Yeah, the only thing that's cool about me is that I can make robots. I built her out of electric motors that I bought on the internet. Some of those motors came from China, so technically she's Asian. And she is super hot. But someday I'm going to fix that cooling issue. I think that the best kind of catangles is rectangles. Anybody else? They're great. Buildings are rectangles. When the brickmen were building the buildings, they had a bunch of little rectangles. They stacked them up to make places where people can live and they can work. It's great. I leave my apartment rectangle. I walk on a sidewalk made out of rectangles. I go to my work rectangle. I open the door. It's a rectangle. I push the buttons on the rectangular keyboard. I make the lights on the rectangular screen change. When I do a good job, my boss gives me rectangles. I take the rectangles to the store. I exchange them for various goods and services. Store people give me back change. I do not like change. Change is circle money. So I do what any of you would do. I take the circle money outside, and I give it to the homeless. And they're comfortable with it. They use it willingly in their commercial transactions. Because that's what homelessness is. Rectangle deficiency. Y'all ever eating French fries and you reach in and it's a curly fry? That is a big day, right? Happens to me all the time. I reach in and it's a curly fry. I reach in and it's another curly fry. Reach in and it's another curly fry. Because I ordered curly fries? Because I'm not a moron? And people tell me sometimes, they're like, no, Kaiser, I just enjoy the surprise of the curly fry. There are plenty of places you don't want to be surprised by a curly fry. Right? Parking lot curly fry, very bad. Like, that would have been pretty great, except somebody dumped it in that puddle and spilled motor oil on it. I have been dating a woman, though, recently. Or I've been seeing a woman recently. I once saw a woman. It was at the airport. And her luggage was this rectangle, but at the bottom it had the wheels. I was like, that's very convenient. Because before they had the wheels on the luggage, you just had to pick it up and muscle it over, you know? Like, wow, I wish that cart was closer, you know? And now that the luggage has the wheels, you can be leisurely, you can take your time. I was like, when did they invent that? Went on the internet. Turns out that the first commercially successful wheeled luggage product was released in the year 1970. You know what that means? It means that everybody born before the year 1970, like your parents, your grandparents, this gentleman, was a huge moron. The next time you talk to your grandma, I want you to be like, hey, grandma, are you enjoying that fixed income retirement? Because you could have invented the most obvious invention ever. Would have been the greatest thing since sliced bread. Which is a really weird greatest thing, isn't it? I just picture everybody before the slicing of bread with like 2 whole loaves, you know? Maybe like a lettuce in between them. I sure wish this was smaller. Somebody comes by with a knife, slices it up for him. Here you go. Wow. This is the greatest thing. Sucks that we can still get polio. But check out the sandwiches. But no, my friends worry about me. They tried to set me up on a date with a woman. And no. Like, this woman is a lawyer and she works with abused children, and in her fridge, I'm pretty sure, is the ingredients to make salad. And in my fridge, depending on what time of day it is either a 6-pack of beer or a 0-pack of beer. I am like the parking lot curly fry of human beings. Like, oh yeah, that would have been pretty great. Except somebody dumped it and spilled alcohol on it. I think that a pet is a really good present to give somebody that you want to inconvenience in the short term and make very, very sad 10 to 15 years from now. I have been on a lifelong quest to prove how manly I am, which is a problem. Like, you can hear this voice, all right? I want you to picture this voice before puberty. Like, I would go to church and I'd be trying to sing, but I knew that everybody else was listening to me. And so I would try to do a baritone, but 8-year-old Kaiser can't do a baritone. And so it would come out as like a death metal version of all the hymns, you know? Jesus loves me, yes I know. And that was really important to me because I figured everybody else in the congregation was listening, and how else were they going to know to give me the Jesus is Manliest Little Boy Award? The other way that church kids can prove how manly we are is carrying chairs, right? Everybody remembers this. Anytime you do an activity in a public place, you have to carry like 6 folding chairs under each arm. They're all taller than you are, and you're dragging them around, you know? I'm not sure what the point of that was. Nobody cares how strong you are. You're 8 years old and you love Jesus, so it's not like you're trying to impress the girls. The drive to prove one's manliness does not go away when you become an adult. You can tell this because of all the trucks on the road. A modern truck is not a truck in any useful sense. Can we be real? Yes. This is a luxury sedan with a decorative bed in the back, right? Like at the point where you have the Bluetooth stereo and the heated leather seats, that's not a truck. That is a Cadillac Escalade with a gland disorder. One of my friends explained to me that he needs the extra cab so that he's got a place to put the kids' car seats. He's got a different definition of manliness from the one I was raised on. Another friend of mine was explaining that he needs the truck so that he can go camping. And I'm sorry, but at the point where you strap an entire studio apartment into the bed of a Ford F-250, that is not camping. You are just gentrifying that part of the woods. Pretty soon the bears aren't going to be able to afford to live there anymore. Maybe the polar bears. We'll have polar bears all the way down. Little known fact about Jesus. First part of him that came back from the dead was his lower jaw. That's right, it's his resurrection. Coming back from the dead is not something that I would have done if I had been Jesus. As soon as I got out of here, I'd have been writing Yelp reviews. 1 star of Bethlehem. Welcome gifts were very inappropriate for a baby. I don't know who Frank is, but his incense is weird and hard to use. And it may sound that this is not a very godly thing for him to be doing. You would think he'd be more forgiving. Jesus gets it from his mother. Mary was the original Karen. Like, even before he was born, she was like, "What do you mean there's no room at this inn? I demand to speak to the manger." I find bumper stickers very convincing, don't you? Many times I'll be stuck in traffic, I'll be like, yeah, the back of that car is right. I will coexist. I had been on my way to deliver a scathing indictment of Taoism. But the little yin-yang is the S. People who have Christianity bumper stickers always drive exactly like Jesus, who lived 2,000 years ago and had never seen a car. The only time that Jesus took transportation that did not start with an S and end with andals, he was riding a donkey, and he let a little child steer. Jesus' friends would all be on a boat, and he'd be like, "No, I'm good. I'm gonna walk." Breakfast cereal's pretty great, huh? It's crunchy, it's sugary, it's got blue dye number 37, red dye number 4, a bunch of other stuff that RFK Jr. is about to ban for us. There is a leprechaun and a sea admiral and a rabbit who is implied to be an adult but who hangs out with all children for some reason. They did all of this so that they could compete with oatmeal, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is sold by a 16th century religious figure. We should sell other things with religious figures, shouldn't we? Like, I'm gonna get up in the morning, I'm gonna go to my Scientology microwave, make a bowl of Quaker oatmeal, wear my Islam pants. When I'm done, I'll brush my teeth with some Mormon brand toothpaste. Get your teeth as white as our congregation. That is a joke about demographics, not about doctrine. I'm not allowed to be mad. And I still get very nervous every time I tell it. I went to all the other denominations to ask if that was okay or if it was offensive. I went to the Seventh-day Adventists, they weren't there. They said, come back yesterday. I went to the Pentecostals, but I couldn't understand anything they were saying because they were speaking in tongues. Finally, I went back to the Presbyterians, and they said that these two were predestined not to laugh at any of my jokes. Nobody ever talks about the fish during the Boston Tea Party. There was an entire generation that got all hopped up and addicted to caffeine, and they never got their fix again. I don't think it's okay. I don't know if you can tell under these lights, but I'm starting to bald. I thought I was going to be okay with this. It turns out that there are these promising drugs that reverse male pattern balding in mice. What that means is that there are scientists whose job it is to check whether the mice are developing male pattern baldness. Like, hey, this one's starting to get hairless, but only on this part. Do they check for other things? Do the mice start getting really into specific grilling techniques and zero-turn radius lawnmowers? Do they start voting Republican with age? I hate going shopping. I go to the store, and everybody else is down about 70 IQ points because they can't figure out how to find the thing that they want. They're just standing in the freezer section all slack-jawed, like trying to do a price comparison between the various frozen peas. And I know exactly what I want, so I just gotta be like, let me just scooch past you. Let me scooch past you. And scooch was a mistake. We should not have done scooch. Because I know what I want, right? At the point where I have to scooch past you, it shouldn't be like an apology thing. You should have to go over to the cantaloupe, stand there and think about what you've done. Anytime you buy a cantaloupe, you have to like knock on it first, right? What are you listening for? It's not like it's gonna be occupied. I will put that cantaloupe back. Buy a different cantaloupe. You imagine though if you bought a cantaloupe and you forgot to knock? You slice it open and a whole family of gnomes pops out. The father gnome confronts you all, why did you destroy our home? You feel so guilty that you just have to let these gnomes live rent-free in your cupboard for the rest of your life. You're just always like, let me just scooch past you and get that cereal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, clap for me again because I need that.